Extraordinary images out of Los Angeles tonight. Hundreds of National Guard troops now on the ground, deployed by President Trump, even though state leaders say they didn't ask for them and don't want them there. You see members of the National Guard with weapons, with body shields and tear gas canisters, all as protesters gather for day 3 of demonstrations against federal immigration raids. Late tonight, President Trump not ruling out going even further in the days to come. But California's governor pushing back hard, saying the president's hoping for chaos to justify more crackdowns, telling protesters not to give him what he wants. We've got team coverage tonight, starting with our Steve Patterson on the ground near those demonstrations.
Hallie, just moments ago, Governor Newsom asked the Trump administration to officially rescind the order to federalize the National Guard on the ground. Meanwhile, this rally continues to pop up, LAPD declaring it unlawful, and they're making arrests.
Tonight, protesters and law enforcement officials squaring off after days of raids, riots, and demonstrations. And a rare move by President Trump, mobilizing 2,000 California National Guard troops against the will of the state's governor. Overnight, another major flashpoint in front of the federal detention center where undocumented immigrants captured by ICE are being held. In nearby Compton, chaos. Protests there dissolving into lawlessness, demonstrators upending roadblocks, setting off fireworks, while a small group of looters broke into a gas station. These protests followed a day of skirmishes between authorities and protesters outside of a Home Depot. Law enforcement firing tear gas and non-lethal rounds into several crowds.
I couldn't see who was shooting, but they were trying to aim right at me, which is like it's very scary.
Sheriff Robert Luna saying his deputies only acted as peacekeepers and didn't assist with any federal action.
We will protect your right to peacefully protest, but we cannot and will not tolerate violence or destruction of property.
Today, Governor Gavin Newsom accused President Trump of attempting to manufacture a crisis by mobilizing the National Guard, adding he's hoping for chaos so he can justify more crackdowns, more fear, more control. Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, defended the move to NBC's Jacob Soboroff and says about 150 undocumented immigrants have been detained in the last few days.
But not just to protect the law enforcement, to protect the general public. If Democratic leaders want to turn their back on public safety, they can.
Tonight, tensions reaching a boiling point as more troops hit the ground.
Our Steve Patterson reporting in Los Angeles. And here in Washington and beyond, new concern from critics over the president's tactics with this federal deployment. Our Gabe Gutierrez reports.
With the National Guard troops now on the ground in L.A., tonight President Trump is defending their deployment.
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
The president calling Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass incompetent, while Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth says that active duty Marines at Camp Pendleton are on high alert and could be mobilized if the violence continues.
One of our core principles is maintaining peace through strength. We do that on foreign affairs and domestic affairs as well. I don't think that's heavy-handed.
Late today, on his way to Camp David, the president saying he personally spoke with Governor Newsom days ago by phone and threatened to send in the troops once he saw demonstrators throwing objects and spitting on officers.
They spit, we hit. And I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military.
Democrats slamming the deployment, arguing troops are an unnecessary escalation.
For the president to do this when it wasn't requested, breaking with generations of tradition, is only going to incite the situation and make things worse.
This is the first time since 1965 in Alabama, the civil rights era, that a president has activated a state's National Guard force without a request from that state's governor.
We'll send whatever we need to make sure there's law and order.
Gabe Gutierrez is joining us now. And Gabe, the president is not ruling out invoking something called the Insurrection Act. It's rarely used, which would take all of this a step further.
Yes, Hallie. The Insurrection Act is an 18th century wartime law that authorizes the president to deploy military forces inside the U.S. during times of rebellion. He has not invoked it yet. Instead, he's using another statute that allows the president to federalize the National Guard under certain circumstances. Still, there are many legal questions swirling around all of this, Hallie.